Joining in right now, welcome guys. Welcome to our presentation. We're just getting started here. And today what we're going to be talking about is we're going to be talking about how to get started with crypto trading using algorithms, right? So we're going to talk about how we use algorithms to actually trade crypto rather than just doing this the manual kind of way, right? Here's our agenda for today. First thing we're going to do is we're going to learn a little bit about you guys. I want to get to know who we're speaking to here. So I'm going to ask you guys a few questions to talk about, so we can kind of get to know who we're presenting to. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. I'm going to be the instructor for this course, so I'll tell you a little bit about my background as well. We'll go over a quick introduction about Lumiwealth and kind of some of the things that we do. And we'll talk about why we want to use algorithms. We'll talk about the companies that use algorithms, right? We'll talk about our technology, and then we'll go into a demo or show you a couple of demos of these different types of algorithms, right? And then we'll talk about the full course if you guys are interested in learning more about this. We do have an entire long form course on this that will teach you how to do this stuff all the way until you have full out algorithms working on your computer, right? Okay, so let's get started. So first of all, can you guys tell me a little bit about yourselves? You can type this out into the chat. I'll put this into the chat box here as well, so you have that available for you. But if you could write this out in the chat, that would be great for you to answer these questions. Basically, if you could tell me what your occupation is, right? So just so we know a little bit about your background, kind of what you do for a living. Do you know how to program? Is this something that you've been doing for a long time, or are you brand new to this? Our courses are very beginner friendly. So you will be able to go in even if you have not coded before. But if you do have some coding background, it does. We are able to take you to like the whole new heights and show you how to apply that to this world of crypto trading. So that's question 2. And question 3 is, how much crypto experience do you have? Have you been doing this for a long time or not? All right, so I see a few people writing out questions, writing out answers here. Computer technician, designer. I'll let you guys keep writing. And while you guys write that out, I'll tell you a little bit about how I would answer these questions. So my occupation, I'm the CEO of Lumiwealth. I also teach 2 of our classes. So my job is really to make sure that you guys are happy, to make sure that our students are happy, making sure that everyone is learning a lot, and so that we're working on some really good new technology. I'll tell you a little bit more about what we're doing soon, but I'm very excited about what we're building out in the future of what we're doing. Do I know how to program? Yes, I know how to program. I've been coding for a very long time. I was, I think, 12 years old when I first learned. So it's been a very long time, over 20 years at this point, not to give away too much of my age, but definitely been doing this for a long time. I've managed large software teams. I've managed up to 20, 30 people at a time, probably hired, 200, 300 engineers in my lifetime, hired and fired, right, if necessary. So yes, I definitely know how to program. And then how much crypto experience do you have? I've been in the crypto industry for a while now too. I got started probably around 2015, I want to say, 2016. I actually met Vitalik Buterin way, way, way long ago when he used to live in Toronto, actually down the street from me here. I went into their offices, probably the hardest working people I've ever met in my life, to be honest with you. If I ever walk into an office like that and seeing people work that hard again, I will give them a ton of money because it was crazy. Like, I remember we walked into the office and we were trying to like talk to these people, and they were like glued to their screens, couldn't even get up. But I've been in the crypto world for quite a while. I've actually worked at a few different crypto companies and helped build out a few things in this space. I'll tell you more about that soon. But let's see what you guys wrote out here. All right, so Martin says he's a software engineer. Have been trading stocks for many years. Awesome, very cool. Trading crypto for a year now. Perfect. Kind of a funny time to get started in crypto. But I do think you actually, at this point in time, you're at a very good spot. There's every time that the crypto winter comes along, tends to be the best possible time for people to be getting started in crypto. So Funny time for you to get started, but I do think probably the best time looking forward in terms of how you're going to make money. And that's great that you're a software engineer as well. I think you could get a lot out of this course. I've seen software engineers really be able to build some very cool stuff after our courses. So excited to see what you can do. Aaron, welcome as well. Aaron says he's done some programming in Pascal, JCL. I've actually never even heard of JCL. That's a new one. COBOL, BASIC, QBasic, C++, and C#, all the old school stuff and more base languages, which is pretty cool. Completely new to crypto. Awesome. So welcome on board. So hopefully I can teach you a little bit more about the crypto space as well while we're going through all this stuff. Now, Ian says he's a data architect / DevSecOps. Very cool. I'm assuming that means Dev Security Ops. Yes, so you know how to program. Yes, I could tell. And how many years you've been doing this? A few. Very cool. Jack says 3 years experience, crypto trading marketing. Very cool. Richard says he's in private equity. That's very cool. We actually have a lot of people from the finance industry that join our courses, so it's awesome. I love private equity. I'm a big fan of it. I have quite a few friends that work in private equity. Would love to eventually turn our company into something of a private equity type company in a different kind of way using technology, but very cool. It's awesome. Welcome, Richard. Y King says, I fly for a major airline. I fly international, 4 years trading crypto. I'm just now learning Python. I also trade options. Very cool. And King, we do have a class just on options trading as well. If you're interested in how to make algorithms for options, we have something specifically for that. If you're interested, we have courses kind of, we have our main course, algorithmic trading, that teaches you about stocks. We have this one that teaches you about crypto. And then we have another one that teaches you about options. And we're considering another one that's going to be around futures and Forex. But that's a bit further down the line. So we do have courses along the whole spectrum here. It sounds like a lot of you guys do have some programming experience, which is very cool. Like I said, our courses are very beginner friendly. So when people go through our courses, it's not required that you know how to code. Although if you do know how to code, I think you'll get a lot out of the course. Some of our past students that have gone through and learned our courses have ended up building some really, really good stuff afterwards. After the course, and I could actually direct you to some of those reviews of these students, and they've built some really, really cool stuff coming through. So like I said, you don't have to be a programmer, but if you are a programmer, it really does. I get very impressed by some of the stuff that people build after these courses. Cool. Okay. Awesome. Well, great to get to know you guys. Feel free to keep writing in. I'll read off as you guys type. Richard says, oh, I'm in the algo trading course now. Awesome. Very cool. I'm assuming the one that's coming up, or maybe one that's self-directed. But that's very cool, Richard. Awesome. Cool. Okay. So, and obviously this is the sister course. So the algo trading course is about the trading for stocks. Okay, cool, Richard. That's awesome. So algo trading is about doing this for stocks. And then this is about the same thing, but for cryptocurrencies, right? So there are some differences between the two. And then taking machine learning after. Awesome. Very cool. Yeah, we do have that machine learning course as well they could jump into. So very cool. Awesome. It's great, Richard. Cool. Okay. So got to know you guys there. Feel free to keep writing in. I'll keep reading as you guys write that out. But let me tell you a little bit about myself. There's a bit of a write-up here. This is very short, but to tell you kind of from my own words, a little bit more about my background. Like I said, I started programming computers when I was very young. I was around 12 years old when I first started. I started in C++. Ended up starting my own software company when I was 15 years old. Made a decent amount of money, enough to really shock my parents with paychecks that were larger than theirs for a period of time. That got me very interested in not only computer programming, but also in business, which is why I ended up going to business school. And then did my master's in finance, really because I felt finance had, first of all, it's very interesting and I love finance in general, but also lends itself very well to software. Software and finance work together very, very well just because of the numerical nature of finance. There's a lot of value there. After doing my master's in finance, I started a software company with a friend of mine. We ended up selling that thing. I'm not allowed to talk about the exact amount that we sold it for, but it was enough money that made me very happy, and it was able to allow me to take some time off. Basically traveled the world for a couple of months. Ended up really falling in love with New York and all the finance things that were happening there. I really loved the Wall Street. And again, applying software to the world of finance was what I really was after. When I went there, I worked at a few different companies on Wall Street and around. One company I worked there on Wall Street was a company called Greystone, large mortgage lender, or large as in, not as large as Chase Bank, but I think they're doing around $8 billion a year in mortgages when I was there. So, fairly large. We built out a piece of software there where we were, my job was basically to hire a bunch of people, kind of put together this whole, put together the whole department, really, like our software engineering department. Hired a bunch of people. We started building stuff out, and we basically created a piece of software that uses artificial intelligence to rank properties. You'd basically go to the website, type in, this is my address, and then we would search that property in our database, use some AI to value it, and gave you a loan, right? And said, here, you can have this kind of loan on the property. Typically, loans were somewhere around $10 to $20 million. These are commercial properties, multifamily buildings. So we built that software, and then software to make it really easy to actually do the loan and all that sort of thing. That was one of my first things in New York. After that, I ended up going to work for a company called Voyager. It's been in the news lately, not for good things, but when I joined, I was very early stage there as employee number 4 at this company. Basically, when I started there, nothing really existed. It was my job to hire pretty much the entire engineering team and help basically architect the whole system. So we ended up building what is very similar to like a Coinbase. It's a cryptocurrency broker is what we built. If you've never used Voyager before, it's kind of crazy. I was, like I said, employee number 4 there, very early stage. Once we built that thing out, the company really took off quite a bit. It went from this little tiny thing in a WeWork with very few people in it to being worth $3 billion or $2 billion at one point in time. Absolutely crazy. A company that, I started on and we were just, engineers in a room trying to figure things out, to sponsoring the Dallas Mavericks and NASCAR and all that kind of stuff. And then they made a really bad decision after I left. If I was there, I would have yelled at some people about this. But they decided to lend out a lot of money to 3AC Capital, 3 Arrows Capital. Lost a ton of money and kind of screwed up the business. Very sad to see it go down. It really was a very good piece of engineering and a really good company, but that loan just took down the whole company. So sucks, but whatever. It was pretty cool anyways to build out a $1 billion company from scratch. That was definitely an interesting journey. But in either case, I left much before then. I left, something like 3 years ago to start this company, Lumiwealth. And what we're all about, and that's kind of a nice segue to here. What is Lumiwealth all about? What is this company that we created a few years ago? Well, the whole goal of Lumiwealth is to use software to help people get better investment returns, right? There's a lot of different ways that you can do that. We started off doing that by using, basically teaching people how to invest and how to build software programs to do that. We have a lot of courses on that. We're also going to be releasing some technology very soon, a website and an app at some point soon that's going to allow you to actually use some of our algorithms and invest in our stuff. But that's still further down the line and going to be for accredited investors at first. Why do we create Lumiwealth? The reason why, I worked on Wall Street. I saw people being able to get really incredible investment returns just because they were rich. Literally worked with billionaires, quite a few of them, and they were able to see deals that other people would never in their life be able to see. Things that paid 200-300% a year with very low risks. All they needed was to give some capital, right? It really bothered me how these people had such an upper hand on the financial markets, and I really want to change that, which is why we created Lumiwealth. I believe that the only way that we can really allow regular everyday people to get investment returns like these billionaire types, the only way that we could accomplish that is using software. It's simply too difficult to actually be able to connect that many people, too difficult to get the ideas across to each other, and too difficult to have such intelligent investment advisors for everybody. So I think the only way that we could actually do that is using technology, and that's what Lumiwealth is all about, right? Again, we're right now, we're teaching a lot of things. We have a lot of classes on this, but we're also building out a lot of technology around this too. So to keep a lookout for all the new things that we come out with over the next weeks, months, and years. So yeah, so that's Lumiwealth. That's what we're all about. We have a YouTube channel. You could definitely check us out on YouTube. I strongly suggest that you guys do. Here's our YouTube channel. We have a lot of free content on here. So make sure that when you go to our YouTube channel, which I put into the chat box, make sure that you subscribe and you hit the bell button. That's going to keep you notified of all the new stuff that we come out with. There's a lot of free content that we put in here. All of these classes that we do, all of our free classes, they all go in here. A lot of our strategy demos, interviews with different CEOs and interesting people in the industry. For example, there's an interview here with John Ewing, who manages a $600 million hedge fund here in Toronto. I had a conversation with him a few months ago. I thought it was a very interesting conversation. If you guys want to check it out. Cliff Frazier, this guy is a COO of Equiton, which basically is a real estate investment company. They have about $200 million in assets. So I had a conversation with him as well. And there's a few other people here. If you're interested in crypto space, there's Uzair Kidwai, who's a CEO of Cent Finance. It's a decentralized exchange, a DAO. We had a conversation as to what DAOs are and all sorts of things like that. But there's a lot of really good things in here, a lot of really good interviews. We also have our testimonials of our past students. If you want to know what our courses are like, not from me, but hearing it from past students, you can watch that here. There's a lot of different video reviews that you can watch in here. Everyone from people that have had a coding experience beforehand, people that were brand new to coding. For example, Agim was brand new to coding when he started with us. We have people that took some of our blockchain course, some of our crypto course. There's a lot of different reviews in here they can check out, and we're constantly adding in more and more ones. So make sure you check it out there. We also have a few other things in here, some stuff around options trading and whatnot. In either case, make sure you subscribe and follow us and hit that bell button, because we do release a lot of new content. And I do think that you guys will love this free content that we give out. Okay, so we have that. We have our YouTube. We also have a Discord channel, and I'll put that link as well into the chat. I could even get, I'm even going to get a brand new thing here. I'm going to create a brand new link just because that one, I want to make sure that this thing is going to work for you. So I'm going to create a brand new link here and put that into the chat. Right. I haven't updated that last one for a while, so I just want to make sure that. There you go. Here is that new link. And basically what Discord is, if you guys are not familiar, Discord is a chat area and also voice. There's a text chat, there's voice chat. We also have a forum inside here now that we just created. No one's really posted anything yet, but it's brand new. And basically, it's kind of like Slack, right? It's kind of like a chat type thing, Telegram, Slack. And there's a lot of people in here that are constantly talking about everything to do with trading, algo trading. A lot of people in here, like Sentians, one of our past students, you could even see, it's closed now, but he did a video review for us. So you could actually see he's in there. You can talk to him, right? You can see some other people here. There's a Guy, one of our instructors, is in here as well. And lots of our past students and potential future students and people that are just simply interested in the topic. If you want to talk to old students, if you want to learn more about the industry, if you want to figure out, how do I build this bot and how do I get through all these things, this is the place to go. This is definitely going to be a really great resource for you if you want to learn more about the world of algo trading, right? And it's much better than just some of the stuff on the internet. You can go back and forth. It's a chat, so it's much more fast-paced, and you can ask questions in a much quicker kind of fashion. So that's our YouTube. That's our Discord. And then also, I just want to say, please ask questions throughout this presentation. Don't feel like you have to wait until the end. It's much more interesting when this is interactive, right? I don't want to go, just talk at you, and at the end you ask some questions. If you have a question, please ask it throughout. It makes this presentation a lot more interesting and interactive, and that's what we're trying to do here. All right. Okay, cool. So let's get started on why do we want to use algorithms to trade crypto. So there's a bunch of reasons. These are probably some of the top reasons, but there are quite a few more. First of all, cryptocurrency. Crypto is a 24/7 market, right? So if you want to trade this stuff manually, it's going to be very difficult for you to do this stuff manually with crypto. Things happen overnight. I don't know about you, but I like to sleep, right? So, if you're trading crypto, a lot of things that can happen overnight that could really, really move markets. Like, for example, when this whole thing happened with Russia and Ukraine, the crypto markets just tanked. There's like a 20% drop in the markets. It happened really, really fast. Maybe within 2 hours, we were down like 20%. If you were asleep, you would have totally missed that, right? And you probably were, because it was something at like 2 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast, right? Sometimes things even happen later, right? And things progressed over, I remember staying up pretty late watching that because it's just crazy watching the markets react to it. But, if you had some algorithms going, you could have actually made quite a bit of money off that, right? This volatility, these changes really matter a lot. You can have an algorithm that's automatically watching the news. Something crazy comes out and things start dropping. It can automatically exit for you so you don't lose money on the way down. It can automatically go up as things do better. But in either case, this 24/7 nature, it's going to be very hard to do as a human being, but very easy to do as a robot. Robots don't sleep. They're constantly trading all the time, right? Or can be trading all the time, right? There's also thousands of assets inside of crypto, right? So when you're, doing your research on what kind of, crypto coins you want to buy, it can be quite difficult to go through all of them and find out, is this like what we call a shit coin or not? Is this thing worth any kind of investment? It's going to be very hard for you to track literally tens of thousands of different coins if there's something exciting happening in them, something new. For example, back in the day, there's this coin called Guard. It was doing doing pretty well for a while, but this new thing came out. They released something called the Manifesto. It was, I think it's a Guard Manifesto or something like that, whatever. Their manifesto, when they released this, it just went rocket ship status, shot up like crazy, right? If you are a normal person, it's going to be hard for you to see this, right? There's so many coins out there, keeping track of all these things and what's changing in each one of them. It's going to be very, very tough. But if you had a bot that was monitoring all these things, you would have been able to see on social media, lots of people were talking about this. You would have seen lots of positive sentiment about it. You could have done a lot of checks around this automatically to see, is this BS or not? There's things that you could do. You could go to like tokensniffer.com, for example, to check, is this a BS coin? Is it just a pump and dump or not? There's a lot of like metrics you could use to check that out. Then you could use technicals to actually trade off of that. In either case, being able to monitor all of these assets at once is going to be very difficult for a human, but it's going to be a lot easier to do for a machine, right? So this is one way that you could really take advantage of using software to make you money, right? There's also hundreds of exchanges, right? And I don't know if you guys are aware, but there's price differences between all of them. There's different coins on all of them, right? And being able to take advantage of those price differences is going to be really hard as a human being. But with the robot, it's something you could take advantage of. You could use something called arbitrage to actually make money doing some of these things, right? So, for example, back in the day, there used to be actual pretty big differences between Bitcoin on one exchange and on another, right? Like on Binance, it might have been trading for, this is a long time ago. This is when, Bitcoin was maybe $2,000 a coin. It might have been $2,000 on Binance and then $2,100 on Coinbase. So it would make sense, buy it on Binance, sell it on Coinbase, and just keep doing that in a circle, making $100 each time. You can make quite a bit of money doing that, right? Actually, back in the day when I used to work at Voyager, we set it up initially to be able to do arbitrage transactions like that. I was literally able to go into the app and hit buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, and just kept making me more and more money. It was pretty amazing until the CEO yelled at me and told me to stop because that wasn't my job. But it was pretty amazing seeing how quickly you can make money doing that sort of thing. It's definitely a lot harder to do that sort of thing now. It's not going to be with Binance and Coinbase and not with Bitcoin for sure. But a lot of these smaller coins, there's still quite a bit of advantages that you can, arbitrage opportunities that you can take advantage of doing this sort of thing. It's going to be very difficult to do as a human, but as a bot, you could do that because it's split-second types of transactions that you need to do. And then lastly, but not least, because there's there's not even last. There's quite a few more reasons beyond this. There's making sure that you're not being too emotional, right? A lot of people get caught up in the emotions of trading. I think that's really important with a bot. There's a few other things that are really important when you use bots. But also the last one that I have on this list is, trends change really fast, right? So let's say you're trading some coin, right? Whatever your flavor of coin is, Dogecoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin, Ethereum, whatever it is you're trading, right? It's going to be very hard for you to step away from your computer and do anything, especially if you're using some sort of leverage and you're really trying to take advantage of small trades, small transactions. Trends can change really, really, really fast in crypto. A 5% down day in the stock market is like the world is ending. 5% down in crypto is just another Tuesday. You know what I mean? It's crazy how quickly things can move in the crypto world. And that could either really burn you as a person, or you could take advantage of it as a robot. If you're using a robot, this kind of volatility is your friend. You can make a lot of money trading this thing up and down. All right, so trends change fast. There's lots of volatility in crypto. That can be very beneficial for you as a trader, especially if you're using a bot and you're able to watch this 24/7. If you're trading this normally, as a person, you might need to walk off and grab a sandwich. When you come back, you might be down $10,000, right? It's a lot better when you have this bot constantly watching this for you and making sure that you're, doing things correctly as they move, right? And again, like I said, there's a lot more reasons behind this. Emotions get involved. Bots don't have emotions. There's a lot of other reasons behind this. There's things that you can do with bots that you can't do with human beings. Types of strategies that human beings just are awful at doing, but bots could be very good because they're very quick. They're faster. They're in some cases smarter because they can look at a lot more data at a time. They don't sleep. They don't get emotional. Bots don't get scared if things are going down. They'll automatically just follow the right rules that you put into it. You could really make quite a bit of money using bots, right? But don't take my word for it, right? We could talk about, the theory behind it for a while, but let's talk about, companies that are actually doing this though, right? There's a lot of companies that make quite a bit of money using algorithms to trade. And this is not something new. Sometimes I hear about this stuff on Instagram or whatever, and people are like, yeah, bots are nonsense, whatever. I mean, I don't think you know the history, and I don't think you know the companies out there, because these companies are huge and they're making a crazy amount of money doing this. I've seen so many people make tons of money doing bots. So let's talk about a couple of them, right? So there's a company, first I'm going to talk about is Renaissance Technologies. These guys are probably one of the most successful hedge funds ever in all of history, okay? These guys manage something like $110 billion in assets. Probably a lot more than that now, actually, because I know I think they tripled their money in the past 2 years. Their average return, and again, this is average. This means even in 2008, this is even in bear markets, even right now when things are falling, they're still making money. 39% on average, their returns are. Okay. And this has been over a period of 30 years, right? I know 2021, I think they made like 150% return, something like that. This year, I don't think their numbers are out yet, but I'm sure they're still doing very well. Even in 2008, they didn't lose money. Like these guys, I think lost money only one quarter in their whole 30, 40 year career. They're incredible. These guys don't lose money. They make very, very high returns on a regular basis, right? And with a large amount of money. It's very hard to do this. 39% is one thing to do that with a couple thousand or, $1 million bucks. It's way different being able to do that with 110 billion. Like that's really hard because when you trade, you move markets. It's a lot harder to do that. And they're still able to pull this off. It's really quite incredible. These guys only use bots to trade. It's only software trading for them automatically up and down. There's no human beings are involved doing any of this stuff. It's only software code, buying and selling stuff and analyzing things and whatnot, right? So some people, though, they look at this 39% a year and they're like, well, my buddy in Dogecoin, he made, 2,000% last year. Okay, first of all, I'd like to ask you how he's doing now, given the fact that we're in a bear market, because, it's not enough to make a lot in 1 year. It's about being consistent with it, right? A lot of these people that make these crazy returns, 100%, 200%, whatever, I always take it with a grain of salt, because are you doing something stupid is the first question that I want to ask. Are you leveraging? Are you betting on it? There's a lot of people that go to the casino and, make 20 times their money. Great. How many times in a row can you do that? Right? That's my question. We're all about consistency, and we're not about just betting the house every single time. You can be right a few times, but our goal is to be right as consistently and making money over a period of time, right? Over a long period of time, right? So for those of you that don't have a finance background, 39% is a hell of a lot of money. And let me demonstrate to you why I mean that, right? So let's say you took $1,000, right? For compound interest is what we're going to be talking about here. Let's say you took $1,000 and you invested that into the stock market, right? Over a 30-year period. So 10% every year, right? Compounds over a period of time, right? That ends up, that $1,000 will turn into about $17,000 after 30 years, okay? That's good. That's why people say invest in the stock market. This is definitely a good way for you to make money over a period of time. Definitely a great investment, right? But if you had instead followed Jim Simmons, right, the guy that created Renaissance, and you invested with them instead of the stock market, you're not going to have 4 times more money. 10% versus 39%, right? Almost four times the investment return per year, right? You're not going to end up with, instead of 17,000, you're going to have 4 times more than that. No, you're going to have a lot more than that, because you're making 4 times more every single year, and that compounds over time. So whereas if you put $1,000 into the stock market and you waited 30 years, you'd end up with around $17,000, give or take, right? If you took $1,000 and you invested that instead into Renaissance, you would end up with $19.5 million, more than 1,000 times more money, because you're able to get that 39% instead of 10%. That's the difference between you retiring and maybe having some good money retiring, and the difference between you being spectacularly rich, maybe retiring 20 years earlier, and having a mega yacht that you're on. You know what I mean? Like, it's a huge difference, right? Now 39% obviously is a difficult number to get to, right? But if you're able to accomplish something like that, you can end up being very, very, very rich. And if you read the book about this guy, Jim Simmons, and his company, I'll put this into the chat as well. It's a very interesting book. It's called The Man Who Solved the Market, because it's kind of what he did, right? He built software algorithms that were able to automatically trade for him and make him money. This book is very interesting. It's about them starting this business. It was something like in the 80s. When computers are brand new, it's still very difficult to do this stuff. I think it was pre-Windows, right? So this was like DOS computers, and like connecting to things is really hard. Getting data was really difficult. It took them a while before they were able to get some algorithms that were making money. I think it took them like 1 or 2 years, or maybe even 3 years before they were able to figure that out. For you, it's going to be a lot easier because we have way better technology now. We actually give you a lot of technology when you go through this course, and we'll show you how to use this. But it's going to be a heck of a lot easier than what these guys had to go through. But you know, they built out this company. It took them a while to figure out how to get computers to trade. It took them a while to actually make those algorithms profitable. But once they got it to work, holy crap, were these guys making money? It is absolutely ridiculous how much money these guys are making. Something like, you know, I remember reading this book, and I highly recommend that you guys read this book if you're interested in this topic. But basically, these guys were just making so much cash that they were like buying houses, like giant mansions, and forgetting about them. There's a story about one of the guys. He like bought like a $20 million mansion and built it in like some wrong area that was like a national park or something like that. And the government is like, what the hell? They discovered this. They wrote him a letter, and they're like, well, why do you have a house here in a national park? And he's like, I didn't even know I had one there. He built a $20 million house and forgot about it. You know, that's how much money these guys were making. It was just absolutely insane. That wasn't even Jim Simmons. That was like one of the employees at this company. It is absolutely unbelievable how much money that these guys make at this company. I think the starting salary to work at Renaissance Technology, I think it's like $1 million base, and you can make like multiple millions of dollars a year working at this company. Very, very well paid. Obviously not an easy job to get, but very well paid and very interesting career. So that's a really good book. Highly recommend you guys read that. But they're not the only ones, right? Renaissance is just one of them, right? There's a lot of other companies like that. Two Sigma is another one. They're the same thing. They hire a lot of software engineers, and they basically build algorithms to automatically trade for them, right? Last time I checked, they had about 60 billion in assets. I think they're a lot bigger than that now. I think they're probably worth double or triple that at this point, because these guys make a spectacular amount of money. They grew very quickly. But same thing, they beat the market on a regular basis, not only in terms of returns, but also in terms of risk. They don't do stupid things. They're not making, 50% a year, but because they're like betting the house on it, they are consistently beating the market on a regular basis, risk adjusted, and making really good money. So that's Two Sigma. Another one is Citadel. Some of you guys may have heard of them. They're actually huge. They have a lot of different parts of their company. They're actually what's backing Robinhood. If you guys don't know that, they're like the dark pool that backs Robinhood, and they have like computer algorithms that automatically place these trades and all that. But I'm not talking about that part of their business. I'm talking about their hedge fund. The hedge fund also uses software to trade automatically. Incredibly successful over time. They really have made a ton of money. Last time I checked, they had 32 billion in assets. Probably another one I should put on here. I want to add this. There's one FTX. I'll look that up later, but that's another really good one with Sam Bankman-Fried. He makes a ton of money. I want to add that after this presentation because this came into my mind. Bridgewater is another one. I actually have a nice quote for you by Ray Dalio after this. Ray Dalio, if you guys haven't heard of him, he's one of the most successful hedge fund managers ever. They, I think at one point, maybe still are the world's largest hedge fund. And Ray Dalio, he's been on the news a lot. He's released a few books. He's become very popular lately. He's not that kind of guy. He's not really like this showy type person, but lately he's been trying to like give back to the community because he's a billionaire. Why not? Right. But anyways, if you learn a little bit about Bridgewater, you know that he's very methodical in the way that he does things. And he's a big believer in algorithms and actually using those algorithms to create specific rules and trade off of it. And I'll show you even some quotes with him afterwards that prove that. But he's really big into like the algorithmic approach. He's really big into using data science and all that to make these types of trades. And he attributes that a lot to his success. Right, success of being a hedge fund manager is attributed a lot to that. There's also another really interesting company, D.E. Shaw. There's someone that that used to work here, and let me know if you guys know who that is. I'll give you guys some time to type out that answer. You guys can type it in the chat if you guys know who used to work at DE Shaw. But that's another company. You know, they use a lot of data to trade for them. Why King? There you go. Perfect. Jeff Bezos. Great job. I think you've been to these presentations before, so it's great. Yeah, so awesome. So DE Shaw, used to employ the richest man in the world at one point in time. You know, Jeff Bezos, the story goes, he used to work at on Wall Street, right, before he went to go start his own company. This is the firm that he worked at, DE Shaw. When he was working there, and he basically was rating code and helping analyze data, that sort of thing. He came across some data that showed that the internet was growing at like this insane rate. It was like 5,000% a year or something like that. And he's like, holy cow, that's huge. Learn more about the internet. He's like, I think this has legs to it. I think it's going to keep growing at that rate. And so he went off, came up with a business idea, something called Amazon, the online bookstore, right? How far they've come. But basically, he presented that business idea to his boss at DE Shaw back in the day. He tried to convince him to stay. He's like, look, I love you as an employee. I don't want you to go off and start your own business, whatever. But Jeff Bezos didn't listen, started the company anyways, and the rest is history. You know, became the world's richest man for at least a period of time until Elon Musk came along. But in either case, you know, when you're learning this stuff, when you're learning how to create your own algorithms, when you're learning algorithmic trading, using data to analyze investments, you're in very, very good company. There's a lot of very, very, very rich people here that have been part of this industry and are still part of this industry. Jim Simmons, I think he's worth something like 20 or 30 billion dollars, one of the world's richest people. Ray Dalio, same thing. He's worth, you know, tens of billions of dollars, one of the world's richest people. The guy that runs Citadel, I think it's Ken Griffin that runs Citadel, also one of the world's richest people. You know, Jeff Bezos used to work at DE Shaw. Like, you're seeing a pattern here, right? Some of the world's richest people have worked in this industry or still work in this industry. So you're definitely in a room with some of the smartest people and some of the most successful people in the world. You know, they say if you're in a room where you're the richest person, the smartest person there, you're in the wrong room. Well, you are definitely not in that case here, unless someone here is a billionaire. You know, but that's a whole different story. Anyways, really, really good company to be in and really good things to learn. So as promised, here's a tweet that Ray Dalio came out with recently. If you guys are not familiar with Ray Dalio, he's the CEO of Bridgewater. Probably, I don't know if it still is, but at some point it was the world's biggest hedge fund. Extremely successful man. Last time I checked, he's worth like $20 billion or something more than that. He released this tweet. To paraphrase it, or I could read it off to you. But basically, this is what you can actually check his Twitter. This was like a week ago that he posted this up. What he says, convert your principles into algorithms and have computers make decisions alongside you, right? This is Ray Dalio's advice. And he continues, he says, if you can do that, you will take the power of your decision-making to a whole new level. Principle of the day. In many cases, you'll be able to test how that principle would have worked in the past. He's talking about back testing here. Or in various situations that will help you refine it. And in all cases, it will allow you to compound your understanding to a degree that would otherwise be impossible. Notice he's a very big fan of algorithms here. It will also take emotion out of the equation. Algorithms work just like words in describing what you would like to have done, but they are written in a language that the computer can understand. If you don't know how to speak this language, you should either learn it or have someone close to you who could translate it for you. So he's telling people here to learn Python, learn how to invest. Very good advice from one of the world's richest people. Your children and their peers must learn to speak the language because it will soon be as important or more important than any other language. By developing a partnership with your computer alter ego in which you teach each other and each do what you do best, you'll be more powerful than if you went about your decision-making alone. The computer will also link to great collective decision-making, which is far more powerful than individual decision-making and will almost certainly advance the evolution of our species. Big words. Big words from one of the most successful hedge fund managers of all time. He is a major fan of algorithms and literally like a week ago was talking about this. And this is literally what we teach. This is what our courses are about. When he's talking about here, learn how to translate and learn how to do this stuff, that is literally what we do on a regular basis. If you take our courses, this is what we teach you how to do, right? We could also talk a little bit about different types of trading algorithms. I think it's unfortunate that a lot of people, they really only think algorithmic trading is one type of thing. Most people, when they think algorithmic trading or trading in general, they think this, and that's it. There's a lot more to it than that. And actually, I think there's a lot more money to be made in doing these other things. Ray Dalio, really big on the macro strategies. That's what he's all into. He makes a lot of money doing that. Event-based algorithms are very interesting. I've seen our students make a ton of money doing this stuff. Arbitrage can be very powerful. This is Ken Griffin's doing this. Sam Bankman-Fried, the guy from FTX, one of the world's richest people now too. He uses arbitrage trading, but there's a lot of different types of trading algorithms. We can go over them really briefly. Day trading is probably what most people think of, right? It's buying and selling, stocks or crypto or whatever else often, right? Usually more than one time a day, right? Which is why it's called day trading. To do day trading, we typically talk about either technical analysis, right? Where you're using Bollinger Bands or RSI or something like that to trade, right? Or you might be using something like machine learning or artificial intelligence to take a look at all these different things that are happening around, price data and whatnot, and you're able to place these trades on a regular basis throughout the day and hopefully make some money doing that as well, right? Usually you're doing something like scalping or swing trading, right? And you're trying to basically predict where the price is going to be in a few minutes and trying to make a profit off of that swing, right? So a lot of people talk about that. We will teach you how to do that, but I will tell you that is probably the least profitable of all the algorithms. There's a lot better ways to make money than just that, right? Although if you are interested in that, we also teach you that as well, right? There's also event-based algorithms. This is an algorithm where we'll be watching the news, right? So for example, what is something that came out? Tesla, for example, missed estimates, right? That's something that didn't happen during market hours. Let's say this Credit Suisse thing, right? CEO wrote this letter. People are freaking out about it. If you had an algorithm, you could be paying attention to this news. You'd be the first one to know about it because your algorithm is constantly watching the news and seeing what's happening. And then you can automatically place a trade to make money on that direction, right? So Credit Suisse came out with this letter. Your algorithm would have seen that news, would have seen the way that the prices are reacting to it, automatically placed a trade saying, I think this is how far it could potentially go down. And you could automatically make like a 4%, return off of that, right? You could be betting on it going down, something like shorting it or, futures or something else like that, or options to bet on it going down, right? And you can make quite a bit of money on that single event, right? There's macro strategies, right? These are ones where we're looking at economic data. This is a lot of what Ray Dalio does, right? So you can look at like how much debt an economy has. You could look at, what's the growth in that debt. You could take a look at GDP, how that's changing. You could look at housing starts. You could look at employment data, inflation. You could take all that into account and you could actually build models around how you think the stock market and bond market is going to react in each individual country, right? So you could actually create an algorithm that will automatically invest in certain countries and certain types of asset classes and will figure out how to be the most optimal about making money, right? This is a lot how Bridgewater works. If you read his books, Principles or the other ones, he talks a lot about this is the way that he has structured Bridgewater is basically a set of rules that are saying, well, if debt goes up, equity market goes up. That's a pretty strong link. I could even show you that. I can show you a very close relationship there. When you increase the debt in the country, we tend to have the stock market go up at that same time. When interest rates go up, the opposite happens, right? The stock market tends to fall. We saw that over the past 2 years, right? Inflation tends to hurt the stock market. There's a bunch of things they could put into like a computer model to automatically trade for you like that, right? So that's kind of like a macro strategy. You could build fundamental analysis bots, right? You could build bots that automatically will be like stock screeners. We'll look for specific types of companies or specific types of crypto coins. You know, when you're talking about stocks, you might look at, you know, earnings, and you might look at profit margins. You might look at that type of thing. And you might look at maybe social sentiment. You know, if you're trading Nike, it's like, how much did the revenue go up recently? What's the profit margin? Are people saying good things about their shoes lately? Is that increasing or decreasing, the sentiment about their shoes? You could do all that kind of stuff for stocks. You can do very similar things for crypto as well, right? There are things that you can actually do for specific crypto coins. You can see how many people own each coin, right? You know, if it's a pump and dump scheme, if there's one person that owns this really large amount of the coin, you could actually analyze that pretty easily, right? There's lots of websites I can show you how to do that sort of thing, APIs you can plug into. You could analyze, for example, you know, what's another thing here? You can analyze same thing, that the sentiment of a coin, right? Are people saying better things about Ethereum now or worse things? Have things increased or decreased over time, right? You could do all sorts of things. You could see, you know, the volume, if you're looking at specific things like, you know, how much volume has gone up or gone down, has the supply changed? You know, there's a lot of things they can look at fundamentally for crypto coins to see how their prices are evolving, right? They're priced a lot like commodities, so a lot of those things apply there too, right? There's also arbitrage trading algorithms, right? This is that case where, you know, Coinbase has Bitcoin selling for 2,000, Binance has it selling for 2,100. You can buy it at Coinbase, sell it at Binance, make $100 each round trip. But there's a lot of other things they could do like that. There's a lot of decentralized exchanges they could use, and there's some really big price differences sometimes that happen. You can do things like getting ahead of transactions, you know, in some ways kind of like front running, which is not legal in the stock market, but no one's really stopping you in the crypto market. There's statistical arbitrage they could do, you know, when coins should be moving together. There's a lot of things they could do around that for coins as well. And, you know, pretty much anything that a human person can do other than really deep thinking, right? The Warren Buffett style stuff is going to be hard to do in an algorithm, right? Warren Buffett, you know, before he invests in a company, he reads all their annual reports and learns about them for 6 months, all about their managers, and walking into their place of business and talking to people about it. And, you know, he reads everything that they've ever came out with for like months. Like that is going to be really hard to do for an algorithm, right? But pretty much everything else that people can do, an algorithm can do, right? Like you can make a software, you can write software code that's doing almost everything that you're doing in terms of investing manually, right? Computers have come very far. AI and machine learning can do some pretty incredible things these days. So almost anything that a person can do, a computer can do as well. And I bet you in many cases probably better because it's faster, it doesn't sleep, and it's not emotional, you know? Cool. So that's the types of algorithms. We also have, so we have a library here. So something that we've developed over time. This is a library that we call Lumibot. This is open to everybody, right? But when you go through our courses, we'll teach you how to use this thing. We also, for some of our students, we help modify and improve this library as well for them. So people sometimes will ask for features when they go through our courses. We'll add to that. This is also, you know, it's a really good library. What it can do basically is it allows you to trade and back test stocks, options, and futures, and forex and crypto. So many different types of asset classes. We're able to back test strategies, right? So, you know, what is back testing? Back testing basically means simulating trading in the past, right? So I could take historical data for Bitcoin and I can see how would my algorithm have done if I invested in 2020? Or what about in 2021? How would my algorithm have done? Would I have made money? Would I have lost money? How much money would I have made? What were my risks involved in that? All that sort of thing. I'll show you some examples of back tests in a bit. But back testing is extremely useful, right? We're able to connect to Coinbase, Binance, KuCoin, Alpaca, and Interactive Brokers, another one. We're adding in more and more brokers as we go, right? We're adding quite a few of them. We could trade 24 hours. We could trade as often as every 1 second. Although if you would like to trade more often than that, there's actually ways to do that. And we can even add in that feature if you're very interested in that. We could trade multiple strategies all at the same time in custom portfolios. We can get historical data. We could trade a wide range of coins and markets. And of course, I think the most important thing in this is that we've made it really easy for you to use. We have really good documentation, and we've spent a lot of time. We've been teaching this for years now, developing this for years. I really care if it's easy to use, because when you go through my course, I want you to be able to get started and build some stuff as quickly as possible. I want that. First of all, by the way, I personally really want you to come up with some really good trading strategies, because A, hopefully you share them, right? And it's nice to get that. But B, we're also launching a marketplace sometime soon. This will probably be like around January, February, March, something like that. We're launching a marketplace where you'll be able to take an algorithm, if you've learned how to make that in our classes, and put it up on our marketplace and actually sell it to other people, right? We're going to take a small percent of that profit, but you're going to get, you're going to basically be able to be your own fund manager in a way, right? So you could go through our classes, learn how to build these algorithms, and you can actually sell them to other people and make money doing that sort of thing. All right, so we've developed a lot of this tech, and I'm really happy to share that with you guys and see what you guys come up with, because it's it's amazing how I've been teaching this course for a long time, but I feel like I've learned a lot from you guys as well. Everyone has so many different ideas. It's really giving me a very strong understanding of what makes money and what doesn't. But okay, so let's show you a couple of demos. All right, so like I said, there's quite a few different types of trading algorithms. When you go through our full class, you're going to get access to the code for all of these, right? So if you want the code, you could actually just take this and just run this on your computer, right? But we have a lot more than this as well. I'm just showing you 4 demos here. We have a lot of different code. We have a big library that you guys can use to basically create all these different types of algorithms, right? From this stuff, right? We have a lot of ones that just work right out of the box. So I want to show you 4 of them. There's 2 of them I'll show you directly the back test results and how they work and the profits that you make off of them. The momentum one is going to be just an example of our technology and what we can do. And then a social media trading bot. We haven't run that one for long enough, but I have seen some of our past students that ran it, and they told me they made quite a bit of money off it, and doing this like slight modify of this type of thing. But it's also kind of show you what's capable through these types of bots. All right. So here's that custom ETF strategy. Okay. This is a pretty simple strategy. All it's doing is it's kind of creating your own ETF. It's investing in 3 different coins: Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin. It's a third, so 33% into each one of them. And what it's doing is it's automatically rebalancing between all 3 of them. So it's these assets here: Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, right? Let's run this thing here. Okay, and basically what it's doing is, since these it's not just investing into all 3 of these coins and then seeing and then just holding them until the end, right? What it's doing is automatically, let me see if I can, there we go. Here's the result of this. This is 1 year. It's popped up another screen. There we go. So this is basically what this algorithm did. It invested over a couple times. You can see all the trades that I placed here, right? You can actually hover over. It shows you what it bought, what it sold, right? So you get a lot of feedback on what your algorithm is doing. You could diagnose what was happening, right? And then we have our tear sheet here. This is the actual result of it, right? Here's what would have happened if you had invested in this algorithm over the year of 2021, right? So basically last year, if you had invested in this algorithm. The blue line is our strategy, and then we always have to have a benchmark, which in this case is Bitcoin. So Bitcoin did pretty well last year. It did 25% is what it made last year. Pretty good, right? Not bad. If you had invested in this algorithm instead, you would have made 76%, right? So you would have made a heck of a lot more money, about 3 times more to be specific. if you're investing in this algorithm, right? And the reason why is because it's investing in these 3 different assets, and it's automatically buying low and selling high. So because they have to be 33% each, Aaron asks, is this recorded? I just crashed a moment ago. Yes, we record this whole thing. If you want to get a recording of this afterwards, we're going to be posting it up on our YouTube. So check our YouTube, right? I'll post a link to our YouTube channel one more time in case you didn't get to access that. The recording of this will be up on our YouTube afterwards. We'll also send it out by email or onto our website as well. This circle forum type thing, right? Okay, so anyway, so this algorithm investing in these 3 assets, and basically it's buying low and selling high automatically, because if one of the assets does really well, for example, if Ethereum shoots up a lot, it's not going to be 33% anymore. It's going to be more like 40%, right? If it goes up to 40%, we have to sell it to bring it back down to 33%. And then for the other ones that went out of the whack too, maybe Bitcoin dropped like 25%. So we're going to buy more Bitcoin. So automatically sell high, buy low, right? And be doing that the whole way through, right? So what that does is it, first of all, automatically makes us that profit, which is really nice, but it also reduces our risk as well. So what's great about this algorithm is that not only are you tripling the return of Bitcoin, right? You're getting 3 times more in terms of return, but you're also doing it without taking on a crazy amount of risk, right? So it's not like you're like leveraging and, balls to the wall, let's see what happens, right? In this case, our max drawdown for our algorithm, which basically means the very top to the very bottom, it's around here, right? Top here, bottom here, right? That's probably what that 48% loss was. Bitcoin was bigger than that. It was a bigger loss, 53% loss. As compared to ours, went from here down to here. So we didn't lose as much as Bitcoin. Our volatility is pretty similar, though. So 69 versus 65, slightly higher, but not too much higher, right? Which is why we have a Sharpe ratio that's almost double that of Bitcoin, right? So triple the returns, almost the exact same risk, maybe even a little lower risk, depending on how you measure it, right? And you're just making tons of money doing this stuff, right? This is a back test. This is, how things would have happened in 2021. Right, we're able to use our technology to simulate the trading, how things would have progressed back then, right? You can actually go through here. You can see all these different things, see how our strategy did versus the benchmark on a per year basis, on a volatility matched basis. So you see here, we're beating it even with the volatility taken into account. You could see which months did the best, what were the drawdown periods, right? How long did they last? Here's the monthly returns. The best one last year would have been August. You have made 50% almost in August. That's wow. That's huge. And your worst month would have been June, probably. I think that's the worst one there, right? So you can automatically see, what months were better or what months were worse. So you could really break down your algorithm and really understand the details of how is this thing performing, right? Okay, so that's the custom ETF strategy, right? That's one of them. If you take our full course, we will give you the code for this. That's this code right here, right? You will get a chance to use that, right? Along with all the other ones as well, and how to use this thing, right? Then, so that's one of them. Let me show you another one. So I'll show you a mean reversion strategy. This is another strategy. I'm not going to run this because this takes quite a bit of time to execute, but I'll show you the results here. Actually, before I show you results, let me tell you about what it does, right? So this strategy, there's momentum and mean reversion are probably kind of the 2 more common types of technical analysis algorithms that people make. In this case, what we're doing is we are buying when our RSI is below 25 and we close below our lower Bollinger Band. For those of you that don't know what the heck that means, let me explain that to you. So RSI is this thing here. It's the relative strength index indicator, right? It's one technical indicator that we can use on an asset, stocks, bonds, whatever, right? Crypto, right? And it basically looks something like this. So this is like your stock here, right? And down here we have our indicator. And it moves up. It's basically, this is like the math that it does, right? We don't need to know too much about the math, but basically it's checking like how many days this stock's been up versus how many days has it been down. When RSI gets very high, we tend to say that things are overbought and the market is probably overheating, right? So it's probably a good time to sell when things are high. Here we say overbought is over 70. Everyone says slightly different numbers. And then we say it's oversold when this gets very, very low, right? When it's below 30, that's oversold and probably a good buying opportunity, right? So that's one indicator that we're using. The other one that we're using is called Bollinger Bands. And you probably have seen this before if you've been trading for a while. Let me get a picture of this. So Bollinger Bands look something like this. This is probably a better one. Right, so here we go. Here's a stock, right? Or it could be a stock, it could be a crypto, whatever, right? And it's trading here. In the middle, we put a moving average. In this case, it's a 20-period simple moving average. You could adjust that to be exponential, like different periods, but whatever. Here's 20-period moving average that's going through the stock. You can see it's roughly following the stock. And then we put an upper band and a lower band around that moving average. And that basically is around the standard deviation of the stock, right? So if it's a very volatile stock, this upper band is going to be further out, and the lower band is going to be further out. If it's something that doesn't move too much, it's going to be pretty tight. It's going to be pretty close, right? So we're basically checking to see when this thing is getting way out of its range, right? Is this thing doing some like wacky stuff that's like unusual for it to behave like, right? So what we say here is we say when the stock price goes above the upper band, right? So for example, here, it broke out above the upper band, right? We say that is a sell signal, right? It has gone too far in one direction. It's now time to sell. That would have actually been a really good indicator here, and it would have fallen, right? When it falls below the lower band, we say that's a buying opportunity, right? Because through the lower band, right? And this is if you had bought it here and held it for a little while, you would have actually profited as well, right? So for us, what we're doing is we're taking both of these signals, right? We're taking this Bollinger Band signal. Are we above the upper Bollinger Band? Are we below the lower Bollinger Band, right? There's a buy signal, sell signal. And then we're also combining that with the relative strength index, the RSI, overbought and oversold, right? And we combine that to say, is it a buy signal or a sell signal, right? So we're buying when RSI is below 25, and also we are below the lower Bollinger Band, so both, they confirm each other. And then we sell when RSI is above 75, and also the closing price is above our upper Bollinger Band, right? So they have to confirm each other there as well, right? So we have a buy sell signal, we have a buy signal, and we have a sell signal, depending on where that is. And we have confirmation between these two different indicators to tell us what to do, right? So how does this perform? You can kind of tell here that it does really damn well, right? This is in 2020, but let me give you a few different time periods here. This is, here's a few different time periods. This is in 2020, how it performed, right? Here's another one. This is in 2021, how it did, right? There's another one here. So the blue is us, right? The blue is our strategy. The yellow is Bitcoin. So you can see that we smoked Bitcoin in 2022. This is, I ran this, I think back in May, right? Which is why it only goes till May, right? I ran a little bit ago. I could probably run it again. We'll still get the same results, I'm sure. But you can see here that it does a heck of a lot better than Bitcoin. Bitcoin over this time period did 35%. We did 122%. We smoked Bitcoin. We did a lot better, right? Our annual return for this is a heck of a lot better too, right? So we're getting more than triple the return. Our Sharpe ratio is a lot better, which means that we're not only getting better returns, but we're also getting better returns without taking crazy risks, right? So Sharpe ratio is about double that of Bitcoin, right? You can see that our max drawdown is a lot better too. Bitcoin over this time period had a big drop. It went, this might have been it, or this might have been it. It had two very big drops actually, right? The biggest one was 53% from the peak to the bottom. Ours only had a 30% drop from the peak to the bottom. So we're making like 4 times the returns, not having as much of a risk in terms of max drawdown. Our volatility is also quite a bit lower. Volatility on Bitcoin is 64% a year. Ours is only 47% a year. So we're taking less risk and getting much higher returns using this mean reversion strategy. That sounds like a really good idea to me. All right. Here's another one. Here's over a different time period, right? With slightly adjusted some things, I believe, right? But either way, whenever you slice it, we are smoking Bitcoin pretty much no matter which way you're looking at it, right? This is 2021 until May 2022. There's a longer time period. This is just that 2022 period, right? You can see that, and pretty much no matter what we look at it, we're smoking Bitcoin. In this case, if it was in 2022, we did 9% on the year. Bitcoin was down 16%. They lost money. We made money. We beat them by almost 30%, pretty amazing story there, right? So that's our mean reversion strategy. Definitely a really cool one. Like I said, we teach you how to do all this technical analysis stuff. It's amazing how technical analysis actually does work pretty well for crypto. If you were to ask me this about stocks, I'd say this is kind of a nonsense. But for crypto, you really do get some pretty good returns for some of these technical analysis things, right? Cool. So that's our mean reversion strategy. You see a little bit about that. And again, when you join our class, we give you this code. You can use this out of the box if you want to, or you can modify it to do whatever the heck you want it to do as well, right? Okay, then we have also our momentum strategy. This is, I want to show you this not because it's a good strategy, right? But I want to show you this because I want to show you how we can use our technology to actually run some really good simulations, right? So here I'm going to simulate a different momentum, right? So we're going to have momentum for 50 days, 70 days, 90 days, and 110 days, right? And we're going to figure out which one of those is the best idea. Should we be using momentum of 50 days or 60, 70, 80? How should we be doing that? We can optimize our algorithms. So if you have a trading strategy that you have in mind that you've been using, maybe you're making some money off it, right? Maybe you're not. In either case, what you could do is you could turn that into software code and you can optimize it, right? What if instead of using 1-minute candles, you use 5-minute candles? What about 20-minute candles? What if your RSI wasn't 30? What if it was 25 that you're using, right? What if you had a bigger threshold that you had to look for, right? What if you had to have a few periods in a row, right? There's a bunch of different things that you can adjust about an algorithm to make it a lot better, right? And here what we're doing is we're testing out different time periods for our momentum, right? So I'm letting this all load in. So we see here, if we had used like a very simple momentum type indicator over a 50-day period, we would have made 900%. The benchmark, I think in this case, Bitcoin is what it was, would have made almost 1100%. So we would not have beaten Bitcoin in this case, right? But we would have still gotten a much better Sharpe ratio, right? So we still were able to reduce our risk quite a bit. So if you want to be investing in Bitcoin, you like the returns, but you don't want to be taking on risk, this maybe is a good idea for you, right? What it basically does is it only invests in Bitcoin when things are going up over the past 50 days. If it's not going up, it exits automatically, right? So it kind of protects you from those big losses, right? But this is for a 50-day period, right? We see the Sharpe ratio, we see the returns, right? You see how more and more of this coming in. There you go. That's all that. Okay, so for 50 days, we made about 900% returns, Sharpe ratio of 1.36, right? Max drawdown, negative 40%. If we had 70 days, our returns go up a lot, right? We get a much better return. over 1,000%, right? Still not totally being the benchmark, but pretty close. Our Sharpe ratio is even better, right? And our max drawdown is maybe a little less as well. So 70 days seems like a better number to use, right? Instead of the 50, right? 90 days. 90 days does not look like a good idea. This seems to have dropped quite a bit. I would not be doing 90 days, right? It's the exact same algorithm, just one parameter is changing, right? We're seeing here that the returns are lower, the Sharpe ratio is lower, so it's not very good. And then we go 110 days, it's also even worse, right? So we see that our best results are around 70 days, right? And you can automatically run this algorithm to try out how it would work for each one of those time periods. Which one is the optimal one? In this case, I'd pick 70. We could run with that. We could even optimize it further from here, right? Once we have 70, we could check, okay, what about 65? What about 75, right? What about, 80? We didn't try 80, right? We could try all those in between. We could also tweak other things around that too, right? So my point is that we could use algorithms to very systematically improve our trading, right? We're not just guessing at things. You're not just reading something on the internet and saying this is the way to do it. You can actually very systematically improve on your investment results, right? Okay, cool. So that's that there. Right. I also have this thing print out this chart at the end. You can very clearly see that the 70-day is the best one right up here. Right. Okay. Cool. All right. Awesome. So that's that strategy. And then I'm going to show you one more demo here before we jump into the rest of this. So I'm going to show you a social media trading bot. Okay. So we call this a Reddit bot. What this thing does is, I'm going to run it first because it takes a little bit of time to do this. So this thing is going to go to Reddit, right? And you could do this with a lot of other social channels. You could do this with Twitter. You could do this with the news. You could read like Benzinga or something like that, or crypto news. You could actually even have it read YouTube videos and listen to the text in YouTube videos. You could have this listen to Telegram, right? There's a lot of things. You could have it just listen to influencers, right? It's a lot of really cool things you could do with this. But in our case, we set it up specifically to read Reddit. And specifically on Reddit, it goes to the cryptocurrency subreddit, right? So if you go into here, crypto, our cryptocurrency. So basically this bot is going to go into here and it's going to read text. Very cool, right? It's almost like artificial intelligence, right? In this case, we're not using AI. We're doing a very much simpler technique than that, right? But you could use AI to make it even smarter, right? And basically what it's going to do is it's going to read through each one of these comments in here, right? Let's see here. This is a different thing. Tagged markets, right? Perspective, anecdotal, right? We could read it through a bunch of these things here. Right, so here's someone talking about, this thing happening here. And then we're going to read through each one of these comments here, right? And whenever they mention a coin, right? Let's say if they mention, we have a list of them here. I have Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Litecoin, Maker, and Dogecoin, right? Whenever one of those is mentioned, we're going to check to see were people saying good things about it or bad things about it, right? So here, BTC and Ethereum, they're both mentioned. Non-zero probability, Gensler probably owns crypto, right? So maybe a slightly positive thing here for Bitcoin and Ethereum, right? So that's going to be like a point towards them, right? That's going to say, okay, Bitcoin, Ethereum, slightly positive, right? It's going to keep reading through here. When did it mention something else, right? Whenever he mentions Bitcoin or whenever he mentions Litecoin or mentions Dogecoin, right? I'm not finding too many here, right? But our program does, right? It can read this a heck of a lot faster than I can, right? So we're seeing it read here. What it's doing is it's literally going through thousands of comments right now. It's reading, all these comments from all these posts. There's no way that you can read as fast as this thing can. Let me tell you that much, right? I'm just basically going through some of these here. One of us. Some of the stuff is pretty funny in here. But yeah, so we're reading through a lot of these things, right? BitBoy, da, da, da. I'm trying to find more comments here that mention these things just to give you more examples while this thing's going off and reading, right? BitBoy, da, 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 talking about SEC, right? Lots of stuff around that, right? So we're basically reading comments, right? We're reading these comments. Let me see if it's done here. Still no. Taking a bit of time. It's taken a while because it's reading like thousands of different comments. But at the end of the day, what we're going to do is we're going to come out with basically a score for each coin, right? All these coins that we mentioned here, right? We're going to get a score for Bitcoin, a score for Ethereum, a score for Solana. There we go. Okay, and actually went through and did all that stuff. Okay. So here we have the score for Ethereum that it got. It didn't have a very good score, got only 0.3, right? Not very good. This is out of 1, right? So it goes from -1, which is very bad, right? Obviously. And then +1 is as good as it gets. So -1 is as bad as it gets. +1 is as good as it gets. In this case, Ethereum got a score of 0.03. So not the greatest, but still slightly positive. Bitcoin got a really positive score, 0.15. That's much better than the other ones, right? Solana got a score of 0.05. And there we go. And we didn't have enough mentions of Dogecoin to matter, right? But if you want to read through each one of these, yeah, it wasn't enough to matter, but it actually got a pretty good score. Dogecoin got a score of 0.22. The only thing is that it didn't get mentioned enough times. We kind of set it up that way. So it needs to be mentioned, I think, more than 5 times or something like that to make a difference. But Dogecoin actually had a pretty good score here too. We can see here Solana, right, had a score of 0.05. It even tells you how it got that score. One article gave it a 0.36. Another or comment gave it a -0.72. Another one gave it a positive 0.57, right? So a -0.72 might be someone saying like, Solana sucks. I hate Solana. It's going to the ground, right? That would be like a -0.72, right? And it takes all those, averages them all out, and comes up with this average score. Once it creates this average score, it's then you could use that to do a lot of things, right? You could actually like check how this is trending over time, right? You'd see like, is Bitcoin trending up or trending down? Is Ethereum trending up or down? I could tell you just anecdotally, this is a lot lower than it was 2 weeks ago when I was doing this. So Ethereum is definitely trending down in terms of sentiment. But what we're doing here, and you could use that for a lot of things, right? You could say like, okay, the coins are trending up. You want to be invest in the ones that are trending up. Or if a sentiment all of a sudden just jumped, right? That might be a really good indication to buy it, right? Because a lot of people are talking about it, and all of a sudden it got a lot more positive, right? Especially for like the small coins, this can make a really big impact, right? But here we're doing something a lot simpler. We're basically just saying, let's take that score, right? Only the positive ones are talked about enough times, and let's give it a weight based on that score, right? So this very proportional to how much it is, right? So a 0.03 is only going to have a 14% weight. A Bitcoin, this one's 0.15. It's going to have the highest weight. It's going to be 62%. We're going to put 62% of our money into this. And then Solana, we're going to put in 22%, right? So it's directly proportional to the sentiment of it, right? And we can constantly keep changing this, right? So we can monitor this every day and change our weightings every single day based on what coins are people talking about, and which ones have the best sentiment, right? And you can even modify that and do a lot of other things around it, right? Once it did that, it also went off and automatically placed these trades. So when I go into my broker here, here's my broker. We had nothing initially. If you wait until it refreshes, there we go. Boom. We automatically have these 3 tokens in here. It took $100,000 and automatically divided it up into these 3 coins. We have $52,000 in Bitcoin, $18,000 in Ethereum, and $19,000 in Solana. Automatically did that for me based on those weightings that it came up with. Very cool. So it can automatically do that, and it can automatically keep checking and keep changing these weightings for you, right? Now, this technique in general is very cool. I've seen some of our past students make a ton of money doing this kind of stuff. I've heard of some of our past students that have made 400% or 500% a year doing this kind of thing. It can be a very, very powerful technique. We can't back test it. It's too much data to back test. We can only forward test it. I'm going to be launching a website pretty soon where I'll put these algorithms up and you guys can like watch them live, right? So we'll see how they pan out over time. But there's a lot of really cool things you could do with this, right? You could, for example, listen to influencers, right? You could listen to like Elon Musk or Kim Kardashian or Donald Trump or whatever, right? Even if these guys are wrong, right? Let's say Kim Kardashian starts talking about Dogecoin. What the heck does she know about Dogecoin? To be honest with you, she probably doesn't know very much about this or any other crypto, to be honest with you. It's not her thing, right? But she does have like 50 million followers. You know what I mean? So even if she was talking about the stupidest coin in the world, chances are that thing is going to go through the roof. It's just, there's just too many people watching her and listening to her, right? So wouldn't that be a good idea to buy it, right? When Elon Musk talks about Dogecoin, last time he talked about it, shot up thousands of percent. Every single time he mentions that, it goes up by a couple 100%. Really good idea to buy that, right? So you can literally just be watching these influencers, and whenever they mention it, it will automatically go off and buy that coin for you. And we can even put in like automatic exits that'll only hold it for 3 hours or will only hold it while some technical indicator does whatever, right? I've seen people make really, really good money doing that sort of thing, following in influencers. You could also be listening to like messaging channels, right? So you could be listening to like Discord or Telegram and seeing, you know, when people talk about things, we can get automatically buying things, right? So if some person came out and said, you should buy this coin, we'll automatically buy it, right? Listen to the people that are talking about things. You can watch social trends, right? Like what we're doing here, Wall Street Bets on Reddit or whatever else, Reddit, Twitter, you know, how are things trending? Are people saying good things about this or not, right? We could automatically be investing in that. We could also be paying attention to the news, right? Did something crazy just happen, right? Is, you know, did Solana crash for the 50th time? You know, like every time it crashes, it's not going to do so well, right? Or, you know, is there some new coin and some, you know, I don't know, Prince Charles just bought it or something, like who knows, right? Like all sorts of things could be happening in the news. You know, it's really hard to pay attention to that as a human, especially in a 24-hour market when you're asleep, things could be happening. But you can be paying attention to the news and automatically be trading off of that, no matter what, even if you're away from your computer. You know? So a lot of really cool stuff that you could be doing with this technique, right? And there's also other things you can do with technical analysis, right? You could use technical analysis libraries. There's lots of them. You could automatically build this stuff. You know, we use pandas. I'll show you how to do all those kind of things. We do lots of different technical analysis type of things. There's also a lot of other like things that you can plug into. Social Lunar Crush is one of them. It's a really cool website that tells you about, you know, the social sentiment of coins and which ones are doing well. Apparently they've back tested it and they've made like hundreds of % a year doing this. So you just use their APIs to actually get that information. I've mentioned before, you could use Token Sniffer, for example. You can go to this website and it basically will help you determine these smaller coins. Are they a ripoff or not? Are they trying to scam you or not? So Credit Suisse Inu, that sounds like a scam, but let's go in here. We could check it. Smell test is actually not bad, 90 out of 100, surprisingly. And they check things for you, right? Is a verified contract source, you know, is there enough liquidity, right? The creator wallet, do they have less than 5% of it, right? How big is the sell fee? How big is the buy fee, right? So a lot of these things that we're looking at, we're just checking, is this a scam or not, right? And we could use Token Sniffer to do that. And you could automatically use your bots to do this sort of thing, right? So quite useful, quite powerful way to make money, right? So lots of really cool things that you could do with this stuff, right? Cool. So hopefully those demos kind of showed you some interesting things and kind of got your creative juices going, right? So let's talk about now. So that's pretty much it for the demos and what we're talking about here today. Let's talk about if you guys want to join our full course. So we have an entire course just on this, right? That you can learn about all these details. And let me put this into the chat so you guys can follow along with me. So we have a course that talks about all the details behind this, right? So we'll give you access to all this code of all these things that we've been doing here. You can take any of the demos I have, you can run those, right? You can, you'll learn how to build these things from scratch. Even if you don't know how to code, we will show you how to do this kind of stuff. It's very beginner friendly. We've made this technology really easy to use, right? So even if you don't know how to code, we can get you through this and show you how to build these types of things, right? If you do know how to code, you can build some really, really cool stuff. Like I said, I've had past students really make a ton of money doing this sort of stuff, right? But let's talk about this full course here, right? So I gave you the link. You can follow along here. There's a bit about the course description. We've talked a lot about that already. Why we want to use algorithms to trade crypto, right? We've talked about that, right? Learning algorithms, you can read that if you'd like, right? But let's talk about the course curriculum, okay? So when you take this course, the course itself is divided up into 3 parts, right? Part 1 is getting all your fundamentals down, right? So week 1, everyone's gonna get to know each other in the class. We're gonna introduce people. We're gonna get your system set up. We're gonna talk about all the tools that you need to be successful at this. We'll give you everything that you could possibly need to kind of get started with this course, right? Including if you've never done Python before, we give you lots of resources. And you know, if you have done that, we give you lots of other resources to kind of get started, right? Week 2 is a Python introduction. We go through this really, really fast, right? To be considerate to the people that know Python. You know, this is going to be a very quick class, one of them, right? And for those of you that don't know Python, we will cover it quite quickly, right? So that you actually see kind of how the basics work. But we're going to focus on the stuff that you're going to need to know for creating bots. We're not going to get deep into it. We're just going to cover these are the different things you're going to need to know how to create bots, right? Week 3, we go over kind of the more advanced stuff in Python. And then I actually need to update this. We actually go through how to install Lumibot on your computer. And we will hopefully, by the end of week 3 or day 3, you will actually be running bots on your computer that are trading, right? So that will be by the end of week 3, right? Then we go into part 2, which is 2 weeks long. Week 4, right, in part 2, right? We're going to make sure that your bots are working on your computer, everything is set up properly, and that you're actually trading. We'll show you how to connect to multiple different brokers, right? KuCoin, Alpaca, you know, Coinbase. We'll show you how to connect to all of those, right? And then we'll make sure that you're running your first trades and show you how to execute all that sort of stuff. We'll also give you a couple of examples of algorithms here as well, all right? Week 5, we're going to show you how to back test the strategy. So kind of what I did there with the mean reversion stuff, right? Or the custom ETFs or whatever. We'll show you how to do that sort of thing yourself, how to back test the strategy and see how it would have done in the past, and if this is something that is worthwhile to use going forward, right? Part 3, right? This is when we're going to show you lots and lots of different examples of bots, right? We're going to show you bots that use technical analysis, right? We're going to show you bots that will create your own crypto ETF, which you saw today here. We'll show you how to connect to different APIs, different types of websites, and get information from them. We'll show you how to connect through social media, Discord, Telegram, all that kind of stuff. And then week 8 is a very special class too, is we'll take you through the beginning parts of machine learning. And this can really make quite a bit of money. We have an entire class just on machine learning taught by Greg Tanaka, who's like a Stanford grad and all that. And he does these kind of algorithms for people. He made, from what I heard, he's making like 50% a year for his clients. So quite a bit of money there. Very good returns for machine learning. And we'll take you through kind of the basics of machine learning here in week 8. All right. So the whole class itself is 8 weeks long. Probably by week 3, you'll have algorithms on your computer that are trading, right? And then definitely by the end of week 8, you're going to have a lot of different algorithms that you're going to be playing around with and being able to try out and see how they all work for you, right? Cool. Okay. To take this course, we have 3 different plans they can take in this course. We have our self-directed plan, which is basically you're going to get access to all the recordings of our past lectures, you're going to get access to our code, right? So you can actually play around with this code and use any of this code that I demoed to you today and more, right? And you're going to get access to our community. That's going to, there's a private community that you get access to as well on top of our Discord, right? That includes things like our discussion hour, which is every week people join to like a voice channel and discuss, what algorithms they've built, what's working for them, what kind of trading strategies they're using, etc. It's a really cool way to get to know other people in the class. A lot of people end up working together through this, right? And it's a great way to see what's working for other people as well, right? That's our self-directed plan. It basically has the video recordings in there, right? Each one of these plans build on each other, by the way. Self-directed plan is our most basic, right? And then we have live classes, which builds on top of that, right? And has everything from self-directed plus more. And then our Project Help Tutoring plan has all of that plus more, right? So again, self-directed, you get access to the videos, you get access to the all the recordings, videos, you get access to all of our code, and you get access to our community. You also get a bunch of support as well. If you need help with that, you can jump on video calls and all that, right? Our live classes takes all that and gives you more, right? So on top of that, you're going to be able to join live classes, right? This has usually been our most popular class, although lately Project Help and Tutoring has become our most popular program by far, right? Actually, not by far, but it's lately become the most popular program that people are buying is our Project Help and Tutoring plan. But our live classes plan is basically, you get access to the videos, you get access to our community, you get all of our code, right? Because on top of that, you join live classes, right? So instead of just watching videos, you're able to join a live class, kind of like what we're doing today, right? Except you're going to be able to turn on your microphone, you're going to be able to share your screen if you need to. And when we're going through all this course material, you're going to be able to ask questions and say, hey, this isn't working on my computer. What's wrong, right? Or you might say, what do you mean by that? And we could elaborate on it. You can share your screen. We can make sure that things are working for you. So you really get a lot of benefit from that live class to really help you move along a lot faster so you don't get stuck, right? You also get a lot more support. You get a lot more time with the professor. In this case, that's me. I'm the instructor here. So if you need more help, we can spend a lot more time with you, right? Then there's our Project Help and Tutoring plan. And like I said, this has become our most popular plan recently. A lot of people really like this plan lately. And it has all that stuff from before, right? All the video recordings, has access to our community, all that. You get to join in live classes too. But on top of that, you get a lot of help, right? So we almost don't pay attention to at all how many hours you want to get help going through this stuff, right? We say 10 hours, but I really don't pay too much attention to how much time we spend with someone on the phone. If you need help, we'll jump on a call with you. But also, if you want to have someone build an algorithm for you, you get access to our software engineer team as well, right? So we will allow you to use our developers. We have a development team that you can get them to actually build something for you, right? So if you have a specific algorithm in mind, we can build that for you, right? If you want some help with a specific feature that you're building, we can help you with that too. You get access to our team that can really help you move faster and get things done faster and better a lot of times too. So you're not messing things up or whatnot, right? So that's our Project Help and Tutoring plan. Okay. Here are all those three plans here. So our self-directed plan is about $1,700, right? There's 3 and 5 month payment plans available if that's easier for you. Again, you get lifetime access to our videos. You get lifetime access to all of our code. You get access to our community, right? Our private community. The instructor, you can get some support, right? We do live support as well. And you get access to our weekly discussion hour as well. That's a self-directed plan. Our live plan is about $4K. Also, 3 and 5 month payment plans are available, right? Has everything from that self-directed plan plus a lot more. You get to be part of this 8-week long live class, right? So it's about 2 hours per week for 8 weeks live, right? So you can ask questions throughout, share your screen, all that sort of thing. You get 6 hours of dedicated Q&A. So if you ever need to jump on a Zoom call, we'll help you with that, right? You get access to all of our future videos and code. So if you, for example, if you take our live class, it's 8 weeks long. If something happens and you can't finish attending, right? Let's say, you know, life happens, you moved, you got a new job, something like that. A lot of people take our courses to get new jobs. Happens pretty often, which is really cool. If that happens, you know, maybe you can't finish the class at that period of time, you can move to the next start date. You can start where the next one is coming up, right? So you're able to keep changing this if you need to, right? You get help with 2 personal projects. So if you need any help with that, we can do that for you as well. You get to know your classmates as well. It's a live environment, right? We can help you with your resume and interview prep if you need help with that, right? And you get unlimited basically chat Q&A and email Q&A if you need that, right? Okay, so that's our live class. Then we have our project help and tutoring class, which is basically all of that, right? You get all the self-directed and all the live stuff, right? Plus, on top of that, you know, you get to be part of that next live class that's coming up. But on top of that, you also get help with building a custom project, right? And you get this 10 hours so you get a lot of time, one-on-one video and phone sessions, and you get our software development experts. If you need someone to actually write software code for you, we can do that for you. We have a team of software engineers that can build this stuff for you if needed, right? So you get a lot of support and you get a lot of help with all this, with this project help tutoring plan. Like I said, this is very quickly becoming one of our most popular plans. People are really liking this one lately. And again, for each one of these, there's 3 and 5 month payment plans available, right? So let me scroll through here, right? We also have a guarantee, by the way, right? And there's a guarantee, signature on it is legally binding, right? But if you can't build a bot, right? Let's say you show up to the classes, right? You actually, you know, put in the work, right? Meaning you show up to classes, when you needed help, you asked for it, right? If you still can't build a bot, I've never seen that happen, by the way. Never in my life have I seen someone not be able to build a bot going through the course, assuming they actually showed up, right? Then not only will I give you your money back, but I'll give you back an extra $400 too, just for your time, right? I'm that confident that you're going to be able to go through this class, build a bot. I've done this with so many people already. Hundreds or thousands of students have built bots going through this stuff. I'm very, very confident that when you go through this class, you're going to be able to build a bot. And I'm so confident that not only will I give you your money back, but I'll give you $400 on top of that if you're not able to build this bot. But of course, obviously, it means you show up to class. If you don't show up to class, it's a different story. But you know, I'll give you back your money if you're not able to do that. Again, I've never seen that happen, so I'm very confident in this. You know? We have 2 classes coming up soon, right? We have our October class, which is starting very soon in what is that? You know, a week or so, right? Next week, pretty much, it's starting, right? Yeah, wow, next week already. So this class starts next week, October 12th. Registration closes on the 5th, so you have 2 days to sign up, right? So if you guys want to sign up, registration is closing very, very soon. Again, this is an 8-week long course. We recommend around 8 to 12 hours per week, although you don't have to. Some people will spend a lot less, some people will spend a lot more. You could retake this class as many times as you want to, if you want, right? Our class schedule is we do this every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time or 5 p.m. Pacific, okay? So every Wednesday for 8 weeks, we're going to be meeting, excluding holidays, right? Which I think Thanksgiving falls around this time, so we're probably going to skip that week. And then usually it's about 2 hours per week that we're doing this, and it's going to be live over Zoom, all right? That's our October class. We also have another one that's going to be starting in February. This one starts on February 5th, 2025. It's also 8 weeks long, excluding holiday breaks. This one is going to be taking place on Sunday, though. So it's going to be every Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific. And it's also about 2 hours per week. And this one, if you join now, because you are joining a bit earlier, by the way, if you join this class, if you join the February class, you immediately get access to the video lectures. So you don't have to wait until February to actually start learning, right? But if you join now, you actually save 20% on this, right? You could use this coupon code here, save 20%, and that special is going to end in December, right? So let me show you what this looks like if you actually go through with this, right? So you want to select this course, right? You select the course here, right? Here's that class in your cart. You can go put in the coupon code, right? There we go. Apply the coupon, and you can see that that dropped by $800. So you can save quite a bit of money if you if you register for that class ahead of time, right? Okay, and then proceed to checkout, right? By the way, if you buy more than one class at a time, if you buy 2 classes at once, you automatically get an extra 10% off as well, right? So that's an easy way for you to save money, is buying more than one at a time. And then here, which on this page, it's going to ask you for your first name and all that. But then you can select a payment plan here, and you can pick the 3 or 5 month payment plan if you want right there. Okay. All right, cool. So there is that, right? So that's our October class and our February class. Okay. All right, you could also read a little bit more about myself here. Here's some more information about me if you want to read a little bit about me. You can also search me on LinkedIn if you're interested, see some of my past stuff. All you got to do is search my name. It's pretty unique. There aren't many people with my name on LinkedIn, so you could probably find me pretty easily. I think I use the same picture too, so really easy to find. And then there's also testimonials here. You can find these testimonials, as I said, on our YouTube, but you could also see testimonials here. For example, here's a game. You can watch kind of what he's been up to. I could tell you a little bit about him. He started with us. He didn't know how to code, right? We basically helped him learn how to code. He went through all that kind of stuff. He's now not only making money in trading, but he's also started a business on the side where he gives trade alerts to people. Last I heard, he's making a couple $1,000s a month doing that, side business as well. Very cool. Really glad that he came with us, right? He started a while back and he's been quite successful. Renee is another one of our students that went through. He's built some really cool stuff. This guy knew how to code when he started, but built some pretty cool things. Santayan, this guy has really built some cool stuff. This is that one of those guys I mentioned. I think last time I spoke to him, I think he's making like 400% a year or something in his algorithm. Doing really well for himself. A lot of the event-based kind of stuff. You could listen to him right here. Some of the stuff that he thought about the course and all that. There's Joel, who's taken quite a few of our classes as well. He's really built some cool stuff as well. Some stock screeners, things like that. There's more here they could read through, some more stuff here. We took some of their snippets, right? Or you could also watch more of our testimonials here on more testimonials page, or you can go to our YouTube and watch them there as well. We have quite a few people who have taken our classes. We didn't record videos with every one of them, but we do have a decent amount here that you can watch and kind of see, what people thought about our course, our courses. Cool. Awesome. And that's about it. That's pretty much it for the presentation today, right? I hope you guys got a lot out of that. Again, you have that link to the course there, right? Are there any questions that you guys have, right? So you guys didn't ask too many questions throughout, so maybe you have some questions here at the end. Feel free to type them out. I'll wait a little bit of time for you guys to type them out, right? Let me know what you thought. Hopefully I'll see you guys in these classes starting very soon, this class next week. So if you do want to join, this is kind of like the last chance you're getting, right? We're not doing the next one until February. So if you do want to join this class, make sure that you join. Registration closes in 2 days. The class itself starts next week, right? So make sure that you register. It's kind of your last chance. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions here. I hope to see you guys in the class, right? These classes are very fun to do. It's always, I feel like every single time I teach it, it's always slightly different, right? Our technology keeps improving. People go through and they have different ideas. We kind of build a lot of algorithms on the fly a lot of times. So if you join our live classes, you actually sometimes, we'll spend a day and we'll say, what would you like to have built? We build a lot of things on the fly. It's really cool doing that. A lot of people seem to like that because they see how how the thought process goes building these things, and if they have something specific in mind, we could actually go over that, right? But yeah, very cool. Okay, so Ian so says here, good stuff. I'm more from the tech end, and I'm curious about the technology at play. Yeah, for sure. I hope you learned a lot from that. We use Python to build our bots. We use that because it's a very good language for data science and for machine learning, which is why we use Python. Right. It's also very easy to get up and running and use. It's very simple to build algorithms using Python as opposed to other languages. We use a lot of data science in it. We have our Lumibot program or Lumibot library that does this stuff for us as well. It's open source. If you're, have a programming background, you can actually find that on GitHub, right? Cool. Kurash asks, why don't you have a 20% discount for the first course? So we have a 20% off discount for the February class, and that's because it's an early bird special, right? We provide that to people for signing up early. It's an incentive to basically sign up now as opposed to wait until last minute, right? So we don't have that for the October class because it's about to start, right? The early bird, we had an early bird, probably like 2 months ago, but it's no longer the case with it. If you talk to some of our people on the phone, though, they might still be able to set you up with some sort of incentive as well if you need that. But the course is starting next week, so we don't have the early bird anymore for it. All right, Ian says, nice, that's my background and my department. That's very cool. Awesome. Cool, Ian. I would love to see the kind of bots that you build. Honestly, I love seeing people that have like programming backgrounds. I've seen some really, really cool stuff from people with that kind of background. So I'd love to see what you come up with. If you want to join our class, come in and we can build some really cool stuff together. I'll show you the things that I've learned over the years building these bots. Like I said, I've been coding for 20 years, but there's a lot of very specific things they learn about like finance and building bots. I could, hopefully save you a lot of heartache building things that don't work, or a lot of headaches in trying to figure out how to do this stuff from scratch, because there is a decent learning curve in figuring out how to apply this to the world of finance, right? Even if you do know how to code. But in either case, I've seen people like you really come up with like some really cool stuff if you do have that background. Cool. Karash asks, can we use Forex as well? Yes, you can. Absolutely. We actually have a few students that just signed up to our most recent class and are actually building Forex bots. I was actually speaking to someone about a Forex box earlier today. So yes, absolutely. You could use this for Forex as well. Definitely. You could use it Forex, crypto, options. You could do that as well. We have an entire class just on options. You could do this for all sorts of stuff. Good question. Thank you. Yeah, and that's one of the things too, is like when you learn how to build this for crypto, right? The same technology that you're using for crypto, you could use for Forex as well. In many cases, it's like literally you change like one line of code, right? You just change it from like, type equals Forex to type equals crypto, right? Like it's like pretty easy to change. Sometimes it's a little more complicated, right? Like options can be a little bit more challenging to build that. Forex also has, leverage involved in it. So you might have to play with the leverage a little bit too. But you could definitely do this for pretty much any asset class, right? We want to make this for NFTs at some point as well. I know the NFT market crashed lately, but I personally see a bright future in NFTs for things like real estate or cars. I personally thought the NFT thing for JPEGs was kind of stupid, to be honest with you, my personal opinion. And it has crashed pretty hard. So kind of ended up being right there, at least for now. But I do think that NFTs for things like real estate, like for houses, for cars, for watches, for, shoes, like I think those kind of NFTs could be quite useful. It's kind of like a certificate of ownership, right? If you have an NFT for a house, it's kind of like that's your title for the house itself. I think that'd be really cool to build algorithms around that too. But anyways, point is we're building algorithms for a lot of things. We're adding more and more asset classes. We're adding more and more brokers. We're making the technology better over time, easier to use. So we keep improving on all this stuff. So yeah, absolutely. Great questions. Cool. I think that's pretty much it. If you guys don't have any more questions, I'll leave my email here as well. It's rob@lumiwealth.com, right? You can email me there on my email, or and you probably got like my bunch of emails in your inbox anyways. So you probably have it there, or you could also find me on Discord. I usually respond to Discord fastest than anything else. And here's the Discord as well. You can catch me on there, and I'm pretty quick at responding on Discord. So if you have any questions later on, feel free to reach out to me there. Ian says, "Hi Rob, thank you very much. Looking forward to joining." Awesome. Yeah, if you join this class, that'll be great. And we'll see you next week, and we can get started on this. It'll be very cool. I'm excited for this new class. Every time we start a new class, things are better and better. We've spent a lot of time developing our technology. We've improved our technology a lot. I think if you join this class, you're actually going to be part of the class that actually sees our new website launch. And we're going to have a lot of really cool stuff in that website that you're going to see how these algorithms are running real time. You're going to be able to put your own algorithms on the website as well. Lots of really cool stuff is coming down the pipe. So I think this class that's starting is going to be one of the coolest, probably the coolest class that we've had so far, just because of all the new things that we've developed. So yeah, so I'll see you soon then. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much for being part of this. Hopefully I see you guys next week in this class. And, either way, I hope you guys have a great night. And thank you very much. Have a good one.